Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, 100% Pure Elvis. Thank you all for taking the time out to return to my channel today. And as always, I really do appreciate your ongoing support. To each and every one of you who have supported the channel from the very beginning, thank you for your continued support. And to all of the new subscribers who have joined the channel recently, thank you all so much. Recently, I have been asked, could I do an upload on Elvis in the year 1977? And again, I'm more than happy to do that. So let's talk about Elvis in the year 1977. We all know what happened in 1977 on August the 16th. And it was a very difficult year for us Elvis fans. I mean, I was only 4 at the time. So obviously I couldn't remember Elvis's sad passing. But my mum tells me that when she told me and my twin brother that Elvis had passed away, apparently we were quite upset. And again, that's probably because Elvis music was always being played in our household growing up. So from a young child into a teenager, going into adult life, Elvis has always been a mainstay in my life. So again, my mum said we were quite upset, even though we were only 4. And when you talk about the year 1977, obviously, you know, you got different periods of the year 1977. I mean, the 2 books I'm going to share photos from is Elvis Encore Performances 3, Elvis Encore Performance 3, Back to Chicago 1977. And then I'm going to share with you images from the book Elvis Files 1976 to 77. And for me, when I start talking about 1977, obviously I'm going to start with the book, The Elvis Files, and I'm going to get it to the page where he does his last concert of 1976. And it's a quite heavy book, so I hope you don't mind. But so here, this is the last concert from 1976. Concert draws 16,409. Elvis rings in 77 at the Civic Centre. And for me, as you get closer in there, I think Elvis looks in great shape. Obviously, he's a bit weightier than normal, but still in great shape, great voice, gives an outstanding concert. And I absolutely adore the jumpsuit he's wearing there. And then, obviously, Elvis Presley's 42nd birthday is on January the 8th, but I'm going to show you more photos from the concert on December 30th. Or was it? I think it was the 30th. Let me double check. December 31st. So again, you got Ginger Alden there down on the right-hand side. A great image of Elvis on the left. And again, so you're going out of 76 into 77 here. That sundial jumpsuit. And again, when you talk about how Elvis started 77, here you're looking at January 3rd of 77, and he is escorting Ginger Alden to the funeral of her grandfather, I believe. And again, that was in Arkansas. Now I'm going to get closer in now. He just looks so healthy. He looks in a good condition. Obviously, again, like we're going on to the tours now, which I'm going to leave there at the moment. But when you talk about the beginning part of 1977 with Elvis, you know, the early part of 77, I think he still looks in great shape. Obviously, he's a bit weightier, but he still, to me, looks very handsome, gives great performances. And again, this is where we're going to start with the tours. So again, let me hold this book up, and I'm going to try my best to go through the images from 77 with you. And again, I just think, I would say up until the late stages of like June for the CBS concert tapings, I think that's when he started looking more unhealthy, because I think Elvis knew he wasn't well, and I think he was very concerned about how he looked in front of the live audience and the television cameras that were recording for the CBS special. But here we've got Elvis the Pelvis still smiling despite a few major problems. Again, it's just, I just think he looks really well there. And for me, I'm going to keep on turning these pages. But so the beginning part of 77, you know, I still think Elvis, you know, was in fine voice. You know, again, he had put on weight, but nothing unusual in respect of, you know, he still gave great performances to the fans. I mean, look at this one here. When's that from? That is from February 16th of 77. I mean, when you look at the images from the June concert and you go all the way back there to February, there is a big difference, I believe. And for me, look at me and look. Absolutely superb images. And again, some people would say, obviously, Elvis always looked amazing. But, you know, I am a purist, and I do believe that obviously in his last concert tour of 77 in June, I do believe he did look unwell. But when you talk about 77 in particular, I do think the early part of 77, Elvis was still kind of giving out great performances, was looking in good shape. He'd lost some weight. I mean, look at these images, absolutely superb. And still drawing in the crowd. So that one there's February 19th, 1977. 7,000 people attend Elvis Presley's show. You know, again, the fans obviously always wanted to see Elvis live in concert. He sold out concert after concert after concert. And that is because us as fans, I mean, obviously in them days, I was too young, but the fans of the day, they didn't care how Elvis looked as long as they could get to see him live in concert. And this is what Elvis wanted. He wanted to give the fans what they wanted. And that's why his tour schedule was hectic. And, you know, this one here is Elvis gets past the fooling, proves why he still reigns. And that's from February the 20th. Again, you know, when you look at the earlier concerts in the 70s, Elvis gave, you could say, more stellar performances. But going into the latter stages of the 70s, sometimes he fooled around more on stage. And again, but he still gave great performances. And, you know, I've seen a lot of YouTube concerts of Elvis, some of them not the best quality, but you can pick up on concerts in 77 that were better than others. But, you know, Elvis just gave 100% as much as he possibly could. So this one here, Elvis shows he's still the king, February the 21st, and that is in Charlotte. It's just, but these Elvis Files books are a must-have for all Elvis fans. Now, before I show you the next slide, then we are looking at March of 1977, and you are looking at Elvis Presley's last vacation to Hawaii. Now, again, before I share these images with you, obviously, you know, again, you can see Elvis was a bit more weightier, but he still looked, in my opinion, healthy. You could tell around the eyes that he was struggling with his eyes. There's some puffiness within the cheeks, but besides that, he's having fun. He's relaxing on holiday with his entourage and with Ginger and her family, and he's having fun. And he looks well. And here we go. So this is the March holiday in Honolulu, Hawaii. Absolutely. To me, look, playing touch football, I think that's what that's called. He's so energetic, and I think this was a stage that Elvis realised, I've got to start looking after myself more, because he knew he was putting on weight. He knew he looked better than he used to look better. But again, unfortunately, what we're up to now, well, we finished the Hawaii vacation, so we're going to go back onto the tours, and I think, is this the one that covers? So we are looking at. I'll go on to the Chicago book next. We'll get through this book first, but again, when you look here as well, I am going to take this. I just want to take that off because it's a bit of a pain. And now this is the March 23rd to March 30th concert dates. So let's start with these two images. Now look again, absolutely superb images of Elvis there, looks in good shape. Just, here you go. Look at one of my favourites from 77, these are. Absolutely. This one here, what's it say? Elvis brings pelvis to ASU. And if you're wanting to look at this book in full because you can't afford to have it in your collection. Now, I did a complete, thorough, page-by-page review on this book. You look at it over a year ago, this is one of my most viewed uploads. So go back to my channel, type in Elvis Files 1976 to 77. You will come to that upload and you will not be disappointed with what I'm sharing with you in this upload. It's a gorgeous book. And again, here we go. Look, see this one here. It's such a horrible heading. Elvis fat, 42, but still a king. So obviously what they're saying there is Elvis gave a great performance, but he looks overweight. And it's just some of these headlines were horrible. Again, I'll just look at these. They're stunning. I just love them. And again, I'm going to go page by page until we get up to the June concerts and give you an opportunity to kind of see how good this book is. And again, in the comments below, share your thoughts on how Elvis looked in the year 77. Obviously for me, watching some live concerts from 77 on YouTube, that obviously they're not of best quality. To me, he still sounded great. And when you're talking about the June concerts as well, he was still in fine voice. So again, in my opinion, I just wish he would have pulled back on the touring schedule. But Elvis wanted to be there in concert in front of his fans. And again, I just wish he would have took maybe a year or 2 years out. Now, we're now going into April of 77, and I probably think this is where Elvis starts looking unhealthy. So these two images for me, I think, showcase Elvis kind of looking more unwell. So you look at the March vacation to Hawaii where he looked more healthier, and you're now looking at April, the following month. And I think there is a big difference there. I mean, what's your opinions? But look, he's wearing that infamous sundial suit. But again, it says here, Elvis still the real thing, because he was. No one could match Elvis. Absolutely. Stunning images. And we all know towards the end of his touring schedule, he would always wear the sundial suit. And it's not a personal favourite of mine, if I'm quite honest with you. There's a lot more jumpsuits that I like Elvis wearing, but apparently from what I've read, he wore the sundial one because it had more of an opening, and because he had put on weight, it was more giveable. I mean, look, I love that image as well. Absolutely gorgeous image there. So again, they're all shook up. I mean, Elvis still brought great headlines for the journalists that went to watch him in concert. Some journalists at that time, they'd go and see Elvis live in concert, and Elvis would give a stellar performance, but they would focus on the negatives of Elvis looking overweight and looking unwell. And obviously, you go to a concert to be entertained, and that's what Elvis always did. Even if he wasn't looking well, he would always go out on that stage and perform for his adoring fans. But for me, this here, what's this one here? This is from April 26, 77. They Still Love Elvis, the portly. I mean, that's a horrible headline as well. Portly, obviously meaning overweight. Elvis still tender to hounding fans. Again, it's just, you know, when you get this book, if you are lucky enough to get this added to your collection, you know, I've not read it page to page because it would just take far too long, but you can read the headlines from the writer at these concerts, and some of them give really great reviews. And this one here, how was Elvis? Fantastic. So this one here is a headline from the April 28th. And again there, I think he looks all right there. But again, you know, we're now coming up to the end of the touring year for Elvis, aren't we? All swivel hips still wows them. Now, obviously, old sounds like old. I mean, 42 for God's sake. You know, that wasn't old. And people say, you know, Elvis aged. Debatable. I mean, I think Elvis kind of probably looked his age or slightly older near the end. But great images here as well. This is from April 30th of 77. Absolutely great images. Elvis weaves that old wiggle magic. And obviously, this is May. That jumpsuit there on the right, I absolutely adore that jumpsuit. And this is May 3rd, 77. Elvis returns to Saginaw and second appearance is an improvement. So obviously what they're saying there, his first appearance didn't go well, but his second appearance was an improvement. But okay, you can give a critique of a concert, and that's what that journalist has done. And now we're going on to the May 20th to the June 2nd concert tour. So it was just hectic touring schedule for Elvis in 77. Like any other year, never much rest in between tours. Here we are looking at May 22nd. Aging Elvis still gets screams. Fans' gifts include guitars and notes. And Elvis rerun, 19,000 fans don't seem to mind. I mean, I like that image of Elvis there. Here you go. I mean, that one on the right, I'm not overly keen on. That kind of gets me upset a bit. Looks like he's fainted, but you know, just gets me upset. Elvis puts on a show at the Civic Centre, May 23rd. We're near, right, here we go. I'm just going to get through these last few pages to share with you. And again, that's a lovely shot there on the right. That's May 24th. And, right, Presley thrills crowd at arena. And here we go. Elvis still upstages his legend. Right, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, guys, I want to get through these as quickly as possible so I can share the other book with you. But obviously, when I get through the next book, I'll talk more about my feelings on the year 77. Just want to get to the last concert dates. Here we go. It's just a book full of great images from 76, 77. So this one, we're going into June now. Coliseum workers take pick of Presley tickets. And now we are going on to Elvis Presley's last tour, June 17th to June 26th, 77. Elvis going on to the Lisa Marie there on the right. Elvis doesn't need that it anymore. Music in mid-America. I mean, okay, June 19th. Okay, Elvis had put on weight and he didn't move as much on stage, but what a performer, what an entertainer, and how fortunate are we to have Elvis in our generation. You know, we are so fortunate. This here is June 21st. A new generation flocks to see Presley. The 23rd of June. We're getting to the 26th, obviously. Right, so we are now on his last concert date of June 26, 1977. It's really upsetting to see this, but again, introduces his father on stage, and that image on the right there as well. It's such a beautiful image of Elvis. And I've got a double page of that. Look at that. It's just really weird. But it's as an Elvis fan, it is upsetting, but he still gives a stellar performance. And, you know, I've listened to his last concert dates so many times. And again, to me, is it perfection? No. But Elvis absolutely gives his fans what they want. And he did not disappoint. And you're going to come to the end of this book, right? So that's that, because the next lot was, they were talking about the death of Elvis Presley. I'll talk about that in a bit. The next book I'm going to go to is obviously Elvis Encore Performance 3, Back to Chicago 77. Most of the images inside are black and white, but obviously the front cover here is in color. And again, it's that jumpsuit that I love, and I can't remember the name of that jumpsuit. So if anyone can help me there, please share in the comments below. And on the back, a better image here. He looks well, you know, here. So again, you know, you'd think in a few months later, sadly, he would not be with us anymore. Now, I'm just going to share. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of text inside this book at the very beginning talking about the Chicago tour. But as you can see, they're mostly in black and white, the images here. But he looks well. And absolutely great black and white images of Elvis in this book. And again, these books are really great to get a hold of as well, by Joseph A. Tunzi. He does great books on Elvis. And again, I was able to pick this book up at the Strictly Elvis Festival many years ago. So happy to get this into my collection. But when you are looking at these images from 77 in Chicago, I think he looks well, personally. And, you know, obviously, they are in black and white, but you can still see how good he looks. And so when I talk about Elvis in the year 77, you know, I always still say, you know, Elvis still absolutely gave 100%, but obviously towards the end of like June tour, he did look more unhealthy. But again, from 1969 all the way to 1977, he never stopped. You know, coming out of their movies, going into the touring, there was no let up for Elvis whatsoever. He would go into the studio to do a new album, it was a constant roller coaster of concert tourings, album releases, and obviously, because I was too young in them days to have an appreciation for Elvis, but obviously fans of Elvis that were in them days were able to see Elvis live in concert. I mean, how did it feel? Did it feel like Elvis was everywhere? And how do you think that was that something that you were all aware of as fans, or didn't that bother you that Elvis was constantly releasing albums, constantly touring, or at that time in the 70s were people getting fed up of Elvis kind of doing all the tours and all the album releases? Because when you start talking about Elvis, and I'm talking probably from the mid 70s, Elvis's albums were not performing as well as they would do normally, so the money wasn't rolling in as much as it was previously. So these are reasons why I think Elvis carried on touring, because he needed the money, he needed the income, but mainly because he wanted to give the fans what they wanted. And for me, obviously, it's a catch-21 situation, we call it, where Elvis, he would have found it very difficult to get out of that situation that he was in. But again, when you go back to this book in Chicago of 77, I just think he looks really well. And again, but just to think, a few months later, unfortunately, he would no longer be with us. And when you think about what could have been done to save Elvis, I don't think no one could have except Elvis himself, because Elvis was someone that you couldn't tell Elvis what to do or what not to do. Elvis was his own boss and he would listen to himself. Could his father Vernon have done more? Yes, but again, would he have listened to his father? Doubtful. His entourage, could they have helped more? Yes, again, but they were trying their hardest to curb Elvis from his use of prescription medication. I don't like calling it drugs, because people say Elvis was a drug addict. Most of them were prescribed, but again, if Elvis wanted something, he'd get it. And when you look back, you just think to yourself, why was Elvis doing that to himself? And he needed tablets to wake himself up, and he needed tablets to go to sleep. And it is unfortunate. So I'm going through this book because parts of this book are earlier in Elvis's career, and I want to mainly focus on 77. And I think I think it is. Right, here we go. I'm going to go share you the colour images now. So please, obviously the one on the left is not from 77, but you're looking at the one on the right is Chicago 77 in colour. And you can just see this is May 77, by the way. Isn't he? He looks well. He looks in good form. And when you talk about the previous year of 76, where Elvis kind of gave a few, shall we say, not good performances, and apparently Colonel Tom Parker was not best pleased. But again, here he just gives great performances to his adoring public, and to me, he looks well. So again, what happened in that short space of time, we'll never find out. So that's that book. So the two books I've showcased is Elvis Encore Performance 3, and obviously Elvis Files 1976 to 77. Now, obviously, we're now going to talk about in the run-up to August 16th, 77. So after Elvis's concert tour finished on June 26th of 77, up until the date of his next concert tour, which was due to begin on August 16th, 77, Elvis spent a lot of time with Lisa Marie, went to amusement parks, went out on his motorbikes, as we all know, went for a dentist appointment. But images of Elvis from June 26th to August 16th, there is a fair few out there. And he looks like he's having fun. Obviously, we all know the day before his sad passing, he played racquetball, or was it the early morning hours he played racquetball? But again, Elvis was trying his best to lose weight, trying his best to look more healthier for that next concert tour, because I think Elvis knew in his heart of hearts that he was overweight. He didn't look the best on stage. He couldn't move as much on stage. So I think Elvis was very aware of the situation he was in. But when you get onto August, obviously, that last known image of Elvis going through the gates of Graceland after his dentist appointment, or was it going out of the gate? I think it's coming back from the dentist appointment. Again, I've looked at images from around August 14th, 15th, and he looks fine. He looks okay. I mean, obviously he is overweight, but with what happened on August 16th, obviously with Ginger going to bed first and Elvis saying he wasn't tired and he was going to his bathroom to read, it's just kind of what happened in that short space of time from, when Ginger rose and she noticed Elvis wasn't next to her. And again, from stories that I've heard, I don't know how true it is, Ginger decided to go to the dressing table, put her makeup on, before she even tried to find out where Elvis was. Again, is that a normal thing to do? Or should she have thought, okay, where's Elvis? I need to try and find Elvis, try and find out, is he downstairs in Graceland doing with the entourage? I'm not sure. Or did she just assume he was still in the bathroom reading? I think for me, in hindsight, I would have been thinking, right, where is he? How come he's not in the bedroom? How come he's not sleeping next to me? So obviously, that reading the fact that Ginger Alden, apparently, I don't know how true it is, maybe some people can help in the comments below. Apparently Ginger went to the dressing table, put the makeup on first, got ready, and then obviously found Elvis slumped in the bathroom. And then I think it was Charlie Hodge that was called up, Vernon Presley. And obviously the first words apparently that Vernon Presley said was, "Who's murdered my son?" Obviously Lisa Marie was in her bedroom, so she had to be looked after. Priscilla Presley was called. So again, it was, a difficult time to believe that Elvis was no longer with us. But, when I talk about the years 1977, I look on it in a positive way and a negative way, because I look at that 1976 New Year's Eve concert, absolutely outstanding, in fine voice, and going into the early parts of 77. Again, he's at the funeral supporting Ginger Alden. He looks in fine form. You're going on to the March vacation in Honolulu, Hawaii. Again, he looks heavier, but he looks healthy. He's having fun. He's exercising. And then you're looking at the concerts after his holiday in Hawaii and the concert dates afterwards. Again, he still looks healthy. He looks heavier. I'm not going to say overweight. You can see he's bulked up, but still looks well and giving great performances. I would say, as an avid fan of Elvis, with my honesty hat on, I look at images from Elvis in the concerts from late April of 77, and I think there's some noticeable differences there in the way he looks. But then sometimes you can look at obviously the May concerts in Chicago, and again, he looks more healthier again. So you can pick certain concert dates out where he doesn't look well, and there's other dates in 77 where he just looks so much better. And again, I think is that because in between them concert dates, he's solely focused on getting himself more healthier. Obviously Elvis's biggest problem was eating as well. Elvis used to eat in big portions, so that was a problem as well. And I take medication. I have medication, and the medication that I take, it makes me put on weight. And it is frustrating. And you can limit what you eat, and but then medication can still make you put on weight, even though you're trying your best to lose the weight. But I truly believe, when Elvis was going on stage in the latter part of the 70s. So when I talk about Elvis putting on weight, I think you could possibly go back as far as latter of 74, because again, I think there's a big difference in 1971 to 73. So in Aloha from Hawaii, I think Elvis was in great shape. He looked never better. I mean, my preferred era of Elvis concerts is 69. I just think he looks amazing. The press conference from 69, so just gorgeous. But there's a big difference between 71 to 73. Obviously, Elvis, again, was more heavier at Aloha from Hawaii than what he was in 71. And then I think, when I look at the divorce in 73, was that finalized in around October time, I believe. After that, you could see the cycle of Elvis putting on weight and Elvis looking unwell. And am I blaming Priscilla? No, but I think I think it hit Elvis hard, and I think he comfort eat? Probably. And again, he didn't look after himself as well. So there's a lot going on for Elvis at that time. So for me, when I talk about the year 77, I look at it with positives and negatives, because the positives being, we still had Elvis. He still gave great performances. The concerts that he gave were, he gave to the best of his ability. And the negatives are, we sadly lost Elvis in August of 77. And again, things have never been the same since. But, I said earlier in this upload, we are very, very lucky as a generation to have had Elvis in our lives, because, imagine if we were in a generation where Elvis wasn't around. I mean, you talk about Elvis now. I mean, I was in a local record store today that I frequent regularly near where I live. And I was talking to one of the staff members about had they had any secondhand Elvis albums delivered recently, because I normally buy quite a lot from there. And he was saying, unfortunately, we don't get as many that come into the shop anymore. And there was this young guy kind of not too far away from me, and he was looking through the heavy metal section of vinyl, and I could kind of see him sniggering. And I just thought to myself, well, he was possibly 20, 21, 22. And I thought, that's, don't laugh at what I like. If you don't know, I mean, everyone knows Elvis Presley, but, again, at times that frustrates me where people say, oh, he's an Elvis collector, and that's not, I don't know why they feel the need to snigger, but I was quite close to saying to him, is there a problem? But I didn't, because I think sometimes you just have to ignore it. But again, Elvis gets brought into a newer generation constantly, and I think RCA, Sony do great jobs in releasing new Elvis music to the masses. And obviously, you're not going to get new Elvis music. The remixes you get. I'm not overly keen on remixes, but again, they bring Elvis to the masses, don't they? If they hit the top 40 singles chart. But closing out, I just want to show you the back of this book of the Elvis Files. So on the back, you've got some images from 76 and 77. Now, again, return to my channel, 100% Pure Elvis. Type in the search bar, the Elvis Files 1976 to 77, and you will see me doing a complete page-by-page review of that book. I think it's on for nearly an hour, I believe. So again, look, thank you for listening to this upload today. Please share your thoughts in the comments below on Elvis in the year 1977. If you were fortunate enough to see Elvis live in concert in 77, could you please share your thoughts as well? I'd really be interested in reading them. And again, for me, a very sad year indeed. But what an entertainer, what a man, and what an idol. look, before I get upset, I just want to say, look, please keep Elvis close to your hearts. Please keep on playing his music. Lots of love, everybody, and I'll speak real soon. Bye-bye.